The field of 12 are away. Cleeland recently saw take out the mile championship of Victorian. Will just slot into third place. In behind the Scottish athlete in Gibson, who's gone straight to the front in the UK athletics colours. Eliza Curnow, silver medalist at last year's Nationals, will move into second. So we're already starting to see the talent make their way towards the front end of the field. Last year's defending champion, Amanda Pullen, not too far back, sitting about fifth, third back on the plinth. Women's 1500 metre final. They'll enter the home stretch for the first time. Field's still relatively bunched closely together. Gibson and Cleeland at the front. Curnow there as well. Pullen will just work her way up the outside. Up past the shoulder there of Grace Brown. Claudia Stratton well placed. It was fourth in this race last year, so they're through in about 53 the first 300 metres. Natalie ruled Doncaster a bronze in the junior race, the junior championship race a couple of weeks ago here at Lakeside Stadium. Looking to make an impression on the open stage. I can just start to see the field stretching out. We're losing a couple off the back, but it's a lead group of 8 that's just starting to break clear. But all the contenders are right there. Gibson, the Scottish athlete and two-time champion over 800 metres of her country, and of course contested the Commonwealth Games in Delhi, representing Scotland. So she's at the front of the field as the last couple of summers made her way out to Australia in chasing those championship standards. Last year, of course, we saw her at the Briggs, Hunter, and indeed the Sydney Track Classic, and on that occasion it was Gibson that was fourth in a hotly contested race, featuring Zoe Buckman, the Knox athlete, but also Eliza Curnow, who sits on her shoulder right now. It was Curnow that was third in front of Gibson at last year's Sydney Track Classic, and they're renewing hostilities here at Lakeside Stadium and right next to each other at the front of the field. So it's Gibson, Curnow, Cleeland, Paul, the defending champion there for Stratton, Rules moving with them, and Grace Brown from Box Hill completes that group of 7 at the front of the field. There's a gap back on the track there to our next group, including athletics, Essendon's Emily Guy, and joined by the Glen Huntley runner and Anna Newmeyer. And then we push further back there to Rachel Waters of Deakin, who holds down 10th place on the track, and she was 9th last year. So a little bit of work to do to move her way back up to match last year's result. So we've seen Curnow take over the pace at the front of the field. Gibson, the Scottish athlete, did a lot of work early, now just drops back to third, Rule up to her shoulder in fourth. It's Curnow and Cleeland, the two Deakin athletes, both coached by Bruce Scriven. And they're moving very nicely at the front of the field. Cleeland enters with a little bit more form to her side. The mile championship she took 2 Thursdays ago at the Melbourne University track and was very impressive in her victory there. Didn't have the competition of Curnow and Pullen. But with 1 lap to go, it's Cleeland where she wants to be, right at the front with Curnow. The silver medalist from last year's national championships, Eliza Curnow. She split the middle of the semi-finalist in Kayla McKnight, who was third on that occasion. Of course, Zoe Buckman, who went on to finish 7th in the World Championship final over 1,500 metres. As we see Cleeland now just starting to stretch out down the back straight, asking the questions of Gibson and Curnow. And Gibson trying to go with her and has just that. Curnow still has work to do to bridge the gap. Real hot on her hammer, 200 metres from home. So it's Cleeland. Gibson now starting to find some gears up to the shoulder of Cleeland, who started a long move from home, but has she got the top end speed to go with the Scottish athlete whose best work at an international level has been over 2 laps. So it's Gibson into the stretch ahead of Cleeland, gap back to Curnow, who faces a challenge from Rule, but it's Gibson, Claire Gibson of Scotland, has made her way out to the summer conditions of Australia to try and push her case for a Glasgow home Commonwealth Games berth. And she'll move down to the line and take the win in the state title of Victoria. Claire Gibson, 4:9:10:05. Cleeland will add the Victorian title to her mile title. So the metric mile and the traditional mile, Coreena Cleeland will hold those titles concurrently now. Curnow into third place at the line. Back to Rule to round out the top 4 and the medals in the Victorian Championship.